Welcome to the Massive Change Show. I'm Justin Foster.
And I'm Dr. Virginia Lacayo. In each episode, we have conversation with leaders who are getting in some good trouble by challenging paradigms and shaking the system.
And after each conversation, the episode shifts to the second show, where Virginia and I chat about what we learned from the guest.
If you know of any leaders who will make a great guest, please introduce us.
And of course, if you enjoy the show, please like, share, and leave a review.
Thanks for listening.
On this episode of the Massive Change Show, we visit with Trevor Silva, co-founder of Cluck Hut, about chickens, soap, and using your brand to fight fascism. Enjoy the show. So a little insight of how we run the podcast. We're pretty structured. It's 30 minutes. We have busy people that we have on the show. And not that today's guest is not a busy person, but we decided we got to give Trevor Silva some room to play. So welcome, Trevor, and welcome my co-partner in all things in life, Virginia Lacayo. Welcome to this sort of extra special episode of the Massive Change Show.
Welcome. Thank you for having me. Appreciate y'all, man.
Yeah. So Trevor is someone I reached out to. I found on social media, and I'm just going to let you tell your story about Cluck Hut, about what you do, the whole thing. You just do you. The thing about it is, for the listeners, is we're going to kind of like play in this crease between business branding and fighting fascism. And lots of other words that start with F probably today. So that's what we're going to do. So talk about like, how the hell did you come up with Cluck Hut and your crazy backstory about being a musician in Nashville? Just tell us about you.
So I think the most important thing about building anything, business especially, is that the business is really an extension of the identity of the person building. And a lot of people build a business because they want to sell it and make money, and then they want to build again. That was never something I really had any kind of desire for. It was to make money, and power were never a hole I had to fill, if you even know what I mean. So I did music for I played for about 34 years, but I toured for about 16 years as a drummer. And that really, I thought, was my career path, my choice in life. That's what I was going to do. And it was one of the things where like the dream becomes a nightmare. I really got, I became a hired gun, because that's where the money is. You really don't make the money being in a band unless the band takes off, and that's rare. And so I made my living as a hired gun. The problem with being a hired gun is stability is not there, because bands come and go. Artists can let you go at any time. Artists get dropped from labels, etc. So there's this life that you have to lead where it's constant influx, constant chaos. And then if you're lucky enough to land the consistent gig, the problem is you would become, you basically are doing a day job that you have to be on the road 24/7 to do, and playing the same music every night. And as the drummer in the band, running the tracks, hearing the same thing, playing to the click, it becomes like having a desk job. It becomes something where you've played in every, venue in the country, and you've pooped in every rest stop in the country, and you've never actually seen the town that you visit, because you have to leave the next morning. You get there, you sound check, you play, you're out. And so it got to the point where I was just realizing that what was the end game of that? And I started meeting guys that were, in their 60s, and they've been touring their whole life, and they're on great gigs. They're making great money. And I don't have kids, but the idea that their kids didn't know them, their wives had left them, their wives, husbands, whatever, had left them. They had basically built a life away from the life they built. And to me, that just, my foresight, the way my brain works, I don't think linearly. And so, I'm living there, I'm living here at the same time, and I'm looking ahead and going, that sounds miserable. I chose a woman that I really dig and I want to hang out with. I love my dogs. Like, what am I doing? And so my wife actually looked at me one morning. I was getting up for a bus call, and she said, hey, you're sitting on the edge of the bed with my head in my hands, just frustrated, almost in tears. And she's like, what's wrong? She's like, I was like, I hate it. I don't want to go. And so I had to go. Obviously, I'm not going to not go in the gig. And but she said, let's talk. Let's talk about it. And so when I got back, we talked, and she's like, why don't you just come home? She's like, I make enough with my job. We own our house. We live frugally. she's like, we can make it work. And so I decided, I at that point in my life, I was 36 at the time. What am I going to do when I grow up? You know what I mean? This is what I've always done. So I started a little studio at the house doing sync licensing, which is basically recreating music that sounds like other music for TV shows and sports and film or whatever. And so I did that for about 2 years until the pandemic hit. And I realized doing that, I was like, I just made a lateral move. I'm not being creative here either. I'm just making music that sounds like somebody else's music. And I get a check from BMI every year, just enough to make me not want to go back and keep hustling that grind. And so the pandemic hit, and is really where I think my life started, was when I was watching it in January and I was seeing what was happening. And, no matter what the douche nugget in the White House was saying, I understand how science works. My wife, who is the director of science and STEAM for all of Metro Nashville Public Schools, she is a scientist, and we're looking at this and we're saying, okay, this is real, this is happening, and not in a political sense. It's just viruses don't play politics, so we're like, This is where it is, this is where it's going. And then when we started kind of staying out, keeping from going out in March, and then when we were actually locked down and schools were shut, and now she's reinventing science education in real time. I, of course, started drinking excessively. White wine out of the box. We bought a pool. We had gotten chickens pre-pandemic. And Jennifer, we're very different. She is very much the analytical. I am very much the creative. And so for an escape from virtual meetings, she needed something to just get away from being on the computer all day and doing that, reinventing the science education for the district. And so she tried paint by numbers, which I've never seen someone actually fail at paint by numbers. It was almost impressive. Like I think that painting with like 50 squares or 50 parts painted in and done is sitting in the house. And so she's like, well, I'm going to do something where I can put my science to work. Well, she's like soap making. So she started working on creating the perfect eco-friendly, sustainable, and because of me, sensory friendly soap. I needed something that I hate bar soap. I've always hated bar soap because of the fact that it almost always leaves a film on me, or it leaves me dried out. So that was one of the things that I was insistent about. So she starts creating this formula. Meanwhile, every morning I'm watching the old Con Air, the political in chief there, do his morning briefings and just screaming at the TV and just going, what the fuck is happening right now? And I can say fuck because it's pre-Cluck Hut. It becomes Cluck very soon in the story. But I just, the funny story is one of the first days of this, Jennifer's on a meeting with all the other leads, all the other team directors of the district of the Metro Nashville. And I'm watching, I'm watching I can't even call him the president, that asshole talk. And he said something and I go, what the fucking fuck? And I hear Jen go, I go, what? She was live, mic on, and the whole team hears this. And it was one of those moments where just like, they laughed about it because they're just like, yeah, we're all going through something we've never been through. So moving forward, as this is going on, every day I'm drinking excessively. I'm in the above ground pool. She's making soap. I'm making bad chicken jokes. And I'm just getting low key depressed that everyone's just horrible. It started with, my thought process was this. When it started, I said, okay, it's something we don't understand. We have mitigations like masks. We can stay home. We can separate. We can do 6 feet separation. Okay, we got these mitigations. Let's put them to use. That's just logical. That's what a logical person does. And then people are attacking people for wearing masks, and they're bullying people. And I'm going, what are you doing? We don't know what this is. Let's wear the mask. Let's just be good humans. And then people didn't. And it was the opposite. And then, the drinking and the pool and the bad chicken jokes continued. And then George Floyd was murdered. And that was the moment where I hit my low, because I was like, in my head, I thought, this is the moment. Okay, masks, fine. But this is the moment when we come together. We decide, okay, that was wrong. We just watched a man crying for his mother while he's being murdered by the police. That's not okay. We're going to do something. This is it. And then we didn't. And then it went so far into didn't. We did the opposite. We had to go in the street. People had to go in the streets. We had to go in the streets and say, no, this is not okay. And I think that's when I really hit the bottom. And I looked at Jennifer one day and I said, said, it's either blow my brains out or change the world. And I know that's a dark thought, but it was a dark thought. That's where I was. I was like, I hate it here. I hate it here. And she goes, well, change the world. So, God, I did give you that option. And so I was like, you know what? Fine. But here's the thing is I realized, first of all, I've never cared about money or power. It's never been a void I felt the need to fill in my life. But I also realized that, we needed a laugh more than anything. And I'm realizing that even more so now during this regime, part 2, is that the thing that miserable people want, fascists want, is to remove joy. Because misery loves company. They want everyone to be as miserable as they are. And I won't do it. I won't give it to them. If that might be the obedience defiance disorder, or just the fact that screw them. But I wanted to start something, and we had this soap. The soap just became the vehicle. It was this incredible product she created in every aspect, from being sustainable to feeling great to smelling great. And so that became the vehicle. And I was like, well, why don't we start this business that prioritizes people over profit, which is unheard of in business, in unfettered capitalism. What if we prioritize people? What if we prioritize sustainability and eco-friendliness? What if we prioritize diversity? What if we just build this business without venture capital? Being ADHD, and I've learned how to facilitate my brain, manipulate. If I can facilitate it, I can manipulate it with dopamine to do the task, and I can create anything. So learning how to do that with this superpower I've already got, and how to rein it in, give myself the proper squirrels to chase. I started building this company, and I decided, let's really just, without fail, be this no matter what. And of course, the people I talked to when we first started are like, oh, that's nice. That's cool. And so, whatever, you have to keep speaking out into the ether, into the universe. So this really was something where it started out of our house during the pandemic, drunk, upset, sad, making jokes. I built a little website. We made some sales. And then coming into 2021, I was like, let's try to do some markets, some farmers markets. Let's get out there. And it vibrated with people. People understood it. And of course, with, social media, when you first start something, you're shouting into the void, and so I just was authentically who I was and putting content out that was who I was, and who the company was. And as that grew, the idea I had was, what if we built an orbit of good? And an orbit of good, the bigger it gets, the greater the gravitational pull gets. And as it grows, more people will come to the table. More people will be pulled into the orbit. And, playing music and touring, I was not a cool kid in high school. I didn't sit with the cool kids. I was a chameleon. I kind of jumped around, but I was in music. I was all over the place. But I also realized that playing music when you tour, you automatically become the cool kids table, because when you go play a venue, everyone wants to come hang out afterwards. They want to be around you. They want to meet the musicians. And I'm like, what if we made the cool kids table the table where we, have a wide open and accepting community that is, affirming of LGBTQ plus people, and let's be, is affirming of, or not affirming, but is pro sustainability and eco-friendliness. What if we made that the cool kids table? And then people would be attracted to that, because at the end of the day, the depressing thing is that everything in this society, change is overwhelming. We are at a point now where we can't take big business on head on. It's impossible. They will destroy us. But what we can do is we can affect their bottom line. So I thought to myself, well, it's already overwhelming to try to be sustainable in this country. We have, options for recycling, but even plastic, we now know that the majority of it isn't recycled. When we go to the store, I look at everything on the shelves as waste already. And it makes me sad. It makes me feel overwhelmed. Like, what am I doing to change it? Well, everything I do is a drop in the bucket. But what if we created this business that was, not just avoided as much as possible, and more so as we grow, because we can afford it, plastic waste on the production side, but plastic on the packaging side. We have zero plastic waste in our packaging. Even though, like, the Ceylon bands, the bands we use for chamfer seals are plant-based and compostable. It costs a little more, but who cares? That's what's right to do. So I was like, what if we could create this business where people, when they made a purchase, they weren't doing it by themselves. They were doing it with a community of hundreds of thousands and millions of others that were also making a sustainable choice. That's effective change. we actually are making change. And now, as far as taking on big business, when big business sees their bottom line affected, when they see that they're losing money, and soap is, like I said, just the vehicle. We have make other things, but this is something I want to build as an umbrella. I'm building Cluck Hut as an umbrella to bring in other businesses that share our ideology, etc. What if we can actually affect their bottom line to the point where their board goes, why are we losing money? And they go, well, there's this entity over here that's doing things the right way, and people are buying there, and they're building this community. Well, they might not change because they want to, but they'll change because they're forced to. So we have this moment in history right now where it is a very easy time to separate people. You can just say, hey, I believe in basic human decency. And people are like, and you're like, yeah, that's right. Go, okay, maggot, go away. That's it. It's so very easy to do. I am pro LGBTQ plus, and MAGA removes themselves. So we put ourselves in this amazing, terrible time in history where we can find our people, and we can actually create a reality within a reality. And this is where it really, I guess, the most important part of this is we have to play within their rules, within their game, to change their game. And as a white man that presents cis white male in America, I have this opportunity where I can get a seat at tables a lot of people can't. I have a voice a lot of people can't. But I also detest bullies, and I want to create a safe space for people I love. And so there's a place where I can actually almost Trojan horse this, that I can get in there, that I can actually be a voice. I don't care about the power that comes with that. Whether I want to share that. I want that to be something where we together can change as a society. But what if we could create our own reality within the reality that we're given? Because if you don't like it, change it. For those who can't change it, let's change it for them and with them. I think there is something powerful to be said about how community dictates our society and how much the propaganda of capitalism and what we're sold, especially now, is trying to divide and is trying to make us feel helpless when we're not. So what if we could change that? And so using a business to do that, and along, at the same time, we all get to, use great smelling soap, stay clean, wash our butts, and, enjoy good smelling stuff. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it's what we can do together is not what I can do. And I think that's where I find the most hope. I really had to come to a point where I gave up hope to create hope. If that makes sense. That was the bottom I hit. So that was as compressed as I could make it in 16 minutes.
That's awesome. I see Virginia over there writing down questions. So go ahead.
Yeah, I do have a question. What are the kind of obstacles that you're facing with this idea? I mean, sounds great, but in this world, it's challenging. So what are the main challenges?
Capital. The hardest thing starting this out was not taking venture capital means we don't have the kind of money that a lot of startups have to throw at marketing. We don't have the kind of money to throw at equipment, stuff like that. So, I mean, I've learned during the pandemic, I also learned how to do woodworking. My mom actually taught me a lot growing up, but I ended up buying more tools during the pandemic, built myself a wood shop, and now I've learned how to weld. So basically anything that we need to create up until this point, now we're getting into automated equipment, labeling machines, stuff that has lasers and computers. Well, that stuff obviously I have to take a loan, but now we can take a loan because we can show that we have the value in the company to do so. But the hardest part is building something, marketing something without having the capital to do so. You look at our social media, our TikTok, our Instagram, our Facebook, that's where we had to build organically. We've never paid for ads. We did one little run with tried our elbow grease, which was one of our products, and it didn't. I just wasn't feeling it. We've built this entire thing organically, but the beauty of that is it makes the challenge is thinking outside of the box. I mean, it's thinking outside the box, but it's also just being myself. It's thinking outside the box is how we market it, but at the same time, it's just being who we are. People are connecting to the business as a whole, because of the fact that what we're doing is not for us, it's for all of us. It's not about us, it's about all of us. And I think the hardest thing I would say to any business owner that wants to take this model is, first of all, build it like a band. I built this whole company like a band. The first partner I brought in, besides my wife, I brought in our creative director. He does branding and graphics. I gave him 20% of the company. And I just said, listen, dress us for the job we want, not the job we have. He didn't have to buy in or anything. Our second partner, who has since moved on, was our lawyer. Came in, helped us get our LLC, member partnership, all that stuff in order, all of our documentation. Our third partner, who's also no longer with us, and not for bad reasons, it's just the company got bigger than what they could do and they needed to move on. I brought in was our web designer. And so, as partners have come and go, at the beginning, especially since then, of course, when some partners have come on, they've had to sell and there's been more money involved, which it always should be, but at first you don't have it. But to bring in the people who are the goats at what they do, I could learn all this, but then when would I be running a company? So finding the people who are the best at what they do, making them part of the band, giving them something to own and be a part of, that is the way to bring in the best talent. And they also have to align with the ideology. They have to align with the business itself, obviously. But finding those people is what set us apart early on. And, we did a collaboration in 2021, a year in, with Dolly Parton out of our house. And at that point, we brought this trailer in, had power ran to an AC that was in our alleyway that we were also working out of, because it overran our living room or our dining room and our kitchen and our spare bedroom. And so we had that. But we were doing a collaboration with Dolly Parton, and it was because of the fact that we were able to present ourselves as bigger than we were, and not in an inauthentic way. Just that is how we put ourselves out there, dress for the job you want. And so then we finally got to move into a facility. Now we're in our second bigger facility. We're about 5,500 square feet now. But I think that people want it all, and they want it all at the beginning. And venture capitalists take advantage of that. They know that once they give you money, they own you, and you are indebted to them long term, and you need to listen to them, and you do it their way. But the thing is, venture capitalists, for the most part, don't become venture capitalists without loving money. The problem is that's going to be their end-all be-all. That's going to be their. I can't say, hey, I'd like to spend 15 cents more on this biodegradable plant-based plastic to them, because they're going to say, well, but 15 cents times 10,000 products. And I'm like, no, that's not the point. They don't get that. Yeah. And I didn't build this business to sell it. I built this business to pass it on to the world, pass it on to whoever is coming in next behind. It's not about selling. It's not about getting rich. So I think that would be, you were just saying like the struggles, but if I was going to recommend a way to do it, if you want to do it right, blood, sweat, and tears, and the right people around you with the same balanced ideology and forward thinking.
Well, I think what's so interesting, Trevor, is that this idea of a direct-to-consumer brand of a commodity product is not new. I mean, Dollar Shave Club was sort of famous for a while, and then you look at until they sold. You look at Allbirds. You look at you can go down the list. Poncho, Poncho. Or Liquid Death is another phenomenal success story.
Love this guys.
The difference, though, and I think this is so important to point out for people that are listening, is you have this combination of things, of this sort of like desire to change the world, combined with you weren't motivated like, oh shit, we got to go get capital in order to pay for the algorithm. You didn't do that, which is extremely rare. And then the third part of it was, to me and my observation, never about the soap. I mean, the soap couldn't suck. The soap couldn't suck. Yeah, it couldn't suck. But the difference was liquid. Like, you imagine what Liquid Death would have happened with Liquid Death or one of these other brands if they did what you did, which is right out of the gates, you made it extremely clear what your views were of who I call the Donkey King. And you made that extremely clear now, especially in this current time, which is even so much worse than 2016 in so many ways. that your your ability and your articulation of being like, fuck this guy and fuck fascists, and if you
Mhm.
believe that, you should smell good and buy our soap. Like, that is so brilliant to be able to do that, because you're believable. That's the key. There's consistency in there. So my question
Yeah,
behind all that,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
praise is, did you ever, as you started to grow, because as I understand from our initial visit, you kind of had this, like, maybe not hockey stick in sales, but you suddenly went viral as far as like traffic and followers.
Mhm.
Did you ever find yourself, especially as a person coming from entertainment, feeling a bit like a caricature? Did you ever feel a moment where you kind of felt like you were losing Trevor to you were losing a little bit of Trevor in the desire to take advantage of the traffic? Did you run into
No,
that?
I think the
And if
thing
not,
I
why?
well, yeah. So everything that I put out there is, I call our content my therapy. So everything we put out there is stuff that's already going on in my head. These are conversations I need to get out of my head.
Yeah.
I think my defense mechanism is sarcasm, and so I that's how I deal with my feelings, my emotions, etc. on what's going on. More than anything, I hate the fact that this bastard is just has to consume so much of our time. And honestly, I want to talk about sustainability. I want to talk more about what we can do to
Hmm.
change the world. And I feel like we're in this moment where that's all great and good, but we need to survive this. We need to
Yeah.
actually have a world to fight for. And I get more frustrated that I have to talk about that damn clown and I have to make fun of him, because the fact is, at the end of the day, what we have to remember about fascists of all types is this: they lead through fear because they don't have any kind of value for people to respect. Nobody
Yes.
respects them for anything else they do. They have to be, it's bullies, it's people that are abusive, narcissists. They have this way that they control, and it's through fear. The only way that we upset that, is through minimizing them, mocking them, belittling them, letting people see them for what they are. The
Hmm.
thing, the thing that the enemy has that they hide the most is the thing that we can exploit. And
Yeah.
all of them, you can tell, because they can't laugh at themselves. They can't make a joke. They can't laugh at anything that isn't belittling or demeaning someone else. And
Hmm.
so I think the hardest part is, it is authentically me, because I detest that. I just detest bullies so much, and I want people to see how much more powerful they are than these little people. And it annoys me because I'm like, I don't want to talk about them. They're just so lame. They're so boring. They're so dumb. They're so annoying. But we
Hmm.
can't not talk about them. That's
That's right.
that's the point in history that we're at. That it feels deaf. It feels
Yeah.
tone deaf to talk about who'll buy my soap.
Yes.
And
Yes.
there's families being ripped apart on the streets of our
Yeah.
country, and people being put in concentration camps. I don't want to talk about soap. I
Yeah.
want to talk about that. That's fucking wrong. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that. So to answer your question, I am authentically me, because it is entirely my internal dialogue and monologue going on,
Right.
putting it out there, and making hopefully making others laugh as well. Because that's, again, if we lose our joy, we lose this fight.
Hmm. Yeah.
So when it
Well
comes to
said.
our content, it has to be, for me, it has to have value to even put it out there. And I'm meeting with this marketing team right now that I really like. They work with another company that I love, Dave Sweettooth, which is
Mm.
they're awesome. They're outspoken as well. We've become really good friends, and it's a team that works with them, understands how they work. And I start getting overwhelmed when they start talking about the content they need, and they're not making us change our approach, but it's
Right.
like, we can't run any of our organically viral content. We can't run it as ads. Meta
That's right.
refuses it.
That's right.
TikTok refuses it.
Yeah.
So I have been stuck in this place where I've got 5 staff, 6 staff, some couple full time, 4 partners, without being able to run ads. That we have to rely on me writing organic viral content to bring in sales, and I hate that. I hate
Hmm.
it because I hate selling. I also
Hmm.
hate selling. I hate it. I don't want to tell people about. I don't like being sold to. I don't like ads. So I'm always finding this way to incorporate the two, but I'd rather just talk about being a good human and how we fight this fight. And if people want to support us for that, I think that's where the beauty of this resistance starts to take shape, is that if they are going to use business to lobby and to control the narrative, why can't we? Why
That's
can't we
right.
create this network of businesses that creates the narrative, that changes the narrative? Let's go do our thing. And until, I mean, my goal is to keep speaking out until the day they come to my door and try to take me away.
Right.
Prove to me you're a fascist. Prove to
Yes.
me that you have the balls to be a fascist to come take me, because I'm going to
That's
keep
right.
calling you out.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. Oh,
I-
Virginia?
this is so inspiring, and so I'm thinking of our audience right now, listening, and we're many entrepreneurs, and they're struggling with this, the rules of the game here, and you dare to do something radically different in terms of branding, in terms of marketing, in terms of content. So I'm curious to, and many people will maybe think that, oh, that would be so awesome if we could do that, but that will not sell, or that is not the right way, or like all the things that we are being taught. But you're being successful doing that, and so I would like to know more about what has been the reaction of your audience, your community, the market in general. What are the good things, the bad things, how people are responding to your approach, and why you think is that?
Yeah. What we have to remember at the end of the day is that the ideology of authoritarians, of fascism, will always need an other, and it will always eat itself. Because when they run out of an other, they don't have an ideology anymore. They don't have a victim or an enemy to make themselves victims against. And so that is an audience that will continually just die off. It will continually become more and more minuscule. The fact is that love will win in the end. If it hasn't won, it's just not the end. Throughout history, we've seen that. The better angels will always come out. As far as from a business standpoint, I didn't want MAGA coming around. I don't want, because they bully my people. Because the Tennessee Pride Chamber named us the Allied Business of the Year for 2025 in Tennessee. And that's the only award I've ever want to win, because that says that we've created a community of a safe space, which I believe, which all spaces could be safe. But to market that way was for more than just I want to reach a demographic. It's that I don't want to be around the other demographic.
That's right.
I don't want that energy around me. It is a negative, disgusting, slimy energy. Even when they come to our comment section, I still feel their slime on me.
Yes.
So as far as building a business, it brings around people who we want to, first of all, would want to hang out with. Second of all, it gives us a platform where I think people forget in business that, if you have 350 million people in a country, and we sell internationally, but if you have 350 million people, let's say you only reach 50 million of those people, and 50 million of those people buy a product once a month, it's $20. Listen, you're doing okay.
Yeah.
I think people have this idea that you have to go out there and you have to reach everybody. Well, I'm not a Christian. I'm not religious, but I have studied the Bible inside and out. I know it in Latin and Hebrew. And one of the passages I always go back to is when it says, "Either hot nor cold, I will spit you, or if you're tepid, I will spit you out of your mouth. Either hot nor cold, or be either hot or cold."
Yeah.
And that's what I see a lot of businesses as being that tepid, as being in that middle. And to me, that doesn't inspire me to do anything. I mean,
right.
I don't necessarily want or don't want their products. But what we have done, and naturally, organically done, is the people that love what we do and are loyal to what we do, love it. The people that hate it are viscerally opposed to it. And guess what? No press is bad press. When they go out there and they make their noise and they come and troll and do all their stuff, first of all, I'd have to take them serious to respect them. So it's just fun. I'm just like, oh, cute. They all have the same insults, the same arguments. They all ask bad faith questions, whatever. So really, it's not, I have no it doesn't matter. They can do that all they want. But the beauty is that they're also pushing us out there, as well as we're attracting people that we actually want to be around. So I don't know. It depends as a business owner what they want out of business. If you want to take over the world and that's your goal is to make all the money out there, yeah, I wouldn't take this route. This might not be the one to go with.
Yeah.
But the fact that we have all of our products are perfect. They're perfect because we're nerdy and we don't put it out there until it's perfect. And then on top of that, when people buy it and they go, I bought it because the ideology, holy shit, the product's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, there's that.
Yes.
So
Right.
so the last part of your question was when we first started really being more open, I mean, we were always open, let's say that. When we first started really coming at this administration, this regime, we lost within the first week about 1,400 followers. We gained 47,000 within that first week, within the first video. Right. And overall, our all-time, we've lost 1,600 followers and we've gained 148,000. So I think the thing is, if you're going to start a business, it's really not about it is about the product. Don't get me wrong. The product's got to be great. Solve that. But if that's all you have, then you don't really have a business. You have a product.
That's right.
And I feel like for me, it was the ideology was so concrete from the beginning of why we exist, why we do what we do. And it was built around the perfect product. I always had the mentality of this. It would, when other businesses would ask us about wholesale or stuff like that, I would say, I didn't say it like this, but my mentality was, it would behoove you to be a part of what we're doing.
Yes.
And that's why we say, welcome to the revolution. When people bring us into a new brick and mortar, I welcome them. Yeah. I'm not asking for a handout. I'm not asking, it would behoove you to be part of this. No means no. And that's fine. But every no is that much closer to a yes. And I don't want to work with people that don't want to work with us. And I don't want to work with people that don't represent us well. Yeah. Not everyone's going to be where we are in business, but but some people that we meet, some businesses are at least trying. Yeah. They're at least putting their bow in the direction of being ideologically more sound. I think that a lot of businesses, the problem is if you start a business that starts to do well without standing for something, it becomes scarier because then you lose money and then you can afford to do the thing. Right. So to do it from the beginning is the only way. If you to be authentic to who you are, because it's not about that orange asshole. It's not about him. Yes. Yeah, he's a puppet. He's a distraction. He's whatever. It's about that ideology, and that ideology is what we oppose. Yes. We and there's something belittling and demeaning. Go ahead.
And there's something extra joyful about using entrepreneurism to beat these fuckers. It makes me so happy. The glory, because I am an entrepreneur. I don't believe in extractive capitalism, but I certainly believe in entrepreneurial capitalism as a model for how we live in Mexico City now. I think this is the most entrepreneurial place I've ever been. Yeah. Everywhere you go, and as imagine taking that passion for entrepreneurism, combining with a quality product or service, and then being willing to be who you are. And I'm launching a cohort in October, the first cohort I've done for brand coaching called Fuck the Formula. And the premise of that idea is you've so much inspired how I've crafted the marketing too. Because I've been like, what would Trevor think about this? I've only met you one time, but I use this kind of as a filter because the whole point of this is if there is no formula for the thing that you're here to do. There is no formula. There's just the way you're going to do it. And I love that you said, if you're going to go be yourself, just start there. Start there. I'll use this as a band example here. I dislike Midland as a country singer, a country fan of country music. I dislike Midland because they're kind of a fake band. They put them, they're kind of a Hollywood band and they made them look like a Texas band. Yeah. And there's a lot of brands like that are performative brands. They're like, oh, we're going to go be we're gonna fund the gay pride parade because we're inclusive. Then
Right.
this piece of shit comes out, and Trump comes out against all that, and you see, like, in Boise, Idaho, you used to have one of the most successful, especially for a red state, gay pride parades have lost like 30% of their corporate donors. And I think you're a bunch of fucking cowards, because
You know what?
I guarantee
Good.
it that if they started that early on, and they were like
But
Nike
that
has
wasn't
always
who
been
they were.
right. But
That
you look at
wasn't who
Nike
they
though. On the
were.
other hand, though, Nike from the very beginning, despite their issues with some of the overseas manufacturing, all that, but as a giant multi-billion-dollar brand, from the very beginning, they were a fuck you brand.
Yeah.
And
And a
you
lot are
can't.
until they sell. But
That's right. Or they think they are until they're
yeah,
under pressure.
fair.
Until they're under pressure. So anyway, that
And
was just rant. There was no question there.
no, I love
So
that. I don't know. I think that businesses today have this moment in history. They have this moment in
yes,
time where,
yes,
if you think back to the 1930s Germany, where we
yeah,
know how this ends, and you have a moment to say, "This is who I am," knowing that in the end you're coming out on the right side of history. There's no way you don't come out on the right side of
that's right.
history. There isn't. And these businesses that backed off, that, you know what? Good. Thank you.
Right. Well, now we know who
Thank you
you
for
are.
letting us
Yeah.
know who you are. That's
Yes.
why the red hats. That's why I love the red hats so much. Thank
Yes.
you. Why'd you stop wearing them? Like, that's good. I mean, I know you have to go put your clan robe on now, but wear one or the other, because
Yeah.
that helps us to know exactly who you are. And
That's right.
it's okay to not want to associate with that. That is just fine. And their biggest argument in the comments and whatnot is like their whole way to alienate half the population. They love that one. And it's like, we didn't alienate anybody. You were never our customer,
That's right.
ever. But
Ever.
their
Yeah.
privilege, their white privilege, is they want to be invited to every party, every cookout. It's like, but you're not. You're not
Yes.
invited to this one.
Right.
And it's cool.
Yes.
Like, I'm fine. I'm not coming into your chat and being like, oh, fuck you for not. No. Just leave
Yeah.
me alone. Like, it's
Yeah.
cool. Go play over there.
Yeah.
Go do
Right.
fascist things over there.
Right. Yes. And that it is. I'm talking too much. Sorry, Virginia. I'll throw it
You're
back to you.
you're
So,
good.
okay. Just an awareness of that. Well, I guess I have one final question because again, we could talk to you for a couple hours, but what's your intuition say about the future of the business when you
Mm.
see the trajectory you're on, and you're a visionary and you're creative. All creatives are visionaries. So what is your intuition seeing around the bend about where Cluck Hut is going?
Well, there's variables, obviously.
Sure.
The biggest variable will be it being, first of all, Trump. We don't know. Obviously, he's not in control. He is just a mouthpiece. He's
He's
a
a useful
distraction.
idiot. Yeah, useful
Right, but
idiot.
he also says things that they have to kind of run with, as far as tariffs and all this go. There's a lot of variables that are coming in.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to affect us. What I do know is this, is that I love solving problems. I love challenges. So bring it to me. My favorite thing is to take it and, like, okay, how do we spin this? How do we twist what we have, what they said, what they did, and make it work, make it our own, make it, market it in a way that it shows how shitty of a job they're doing. So besides all of that, let's take away that being, those factors being a part of the trajectory. When we started this business, I already had in my mind, we were already $1 million business. And not because of the money part of it, because I already saw us that far down the road. Now that we're approaching that, I look at it like this. The only way we can fuck this up is if we fuck it up. We can fuck it up, but that's the only way it gets fucked up. We continue to do things the way that we're doing them. We continue to advocate. We continue to fight for what's right. We continue to give back everywhere we can. And we continue to build a community of humans that we are inspired and we can inspire to change the world in their own neighborhood, in their own community. And we'll keep them clean while they do it. Because soap, again, it's the vehicle. That's it. But it is an amazing vehicle. So I think the trajectory of this is on the other side of this whole thing, on the other side of fascism, of this regime, when we finally bring it down, if I survive this and I don't get thrown in a gulag, if I make it through the other side, the businesses like us, the businesses that are speaking out now, will be leading this next phase. Will be leading when the pendulum starts to swing back. And I think that's where the cream will rise to the top of those who are the epitome of the opposite, the diametrically opposed opposite of where we are, because that's what people are looking for when they see the worst. They want to go completely the other way. So I think the businesses like us will come out and we'll be able to have a grip on saying, okay, we're not going back there. We're not doing that crap. We are going to do the right thing. So I think that's where we can actually, the business is going to grow because business grows. But I think that's where we can actually make long-lasting, effective change. That we can actually inspire change in other businesses to stand out, to speak up. And I think at the end of the day, that's how we change the world. That's how we save ourselves.
And using nerdy brand terminology here, one of the things I teach clients is how to develop your own category. You've done that. You've got and if you, like you said, you stick to it, don't fuck it up by fucking it up, and be agile. You will be the soap for people that hate fascism, and
people who
Trump
give a cluck.
Yeah, right. And whatever after Trump, whether it's JD Vance or some other piece of shit, we're always going to have to deal with this. It's part of human nature. It's an extension of narcissism and ego and everything. What I love is it's like this is something that is sustainable because the enemy is always going to reveal itself, and you have owned the position. And you own the position in the marketplace. You're not there yet because people don't think about, oh, I need to smell good if I hate fascists. But you're getting closer and closer to that. Anyway, I just think from a brand chemistry standpoint, it's just fucking brilliant. So one last question for go ahead, Trevor. Yeah.
I was just going to say that our marketing strategy is this. It's that I let the intrusive thoughts win 99% of the time. That's our marketing strategy. Because
we
I'll
can
tell
relate
you what,
to that.
those intrusive thoughts are the real. That's the real. Those are the things that is being said from the deep down where you're like, and then you say it out there and everyone else is like, it's like, oh shit, we're all thinking it. We're just not saying it because we're scared. We're afraid that people are going to judge us or whatever. So the intrusive thoughts win a lot.
Awesome. One
Virginia,
last question for Trevor. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
I said,
do you have a question?
let's do one last question for Trevor, and then we'll let him go, and we'll go to the second show.
Yeah, well, I have one, and I'm talking from experience because back in one of my past life, I was the executive producer and director of a television show that was aimed to bring about social change and cultural norms, and we address a lot of social issues. And one of the critique that we got is that we were preaching to the choir because we were very bold about the things that we were saying, and we didn't hide anything, we didn't hold back. And obviously, we created a lot of controversy, and we make a lot of enemies, especially from the church and the government and big capital. And we were extremely popular, meaning, we beat all the records for national production in media, right, mass media. But one of the critiques is that you're preaching to the choir because you're really talking to and attracting people that are kind of less in your side already, that they, in different shapes, but or levels, they think like you. And our argument, well, I'm going to tell you that later, but I want to hear that. Did you get that? If you said we want to change the world, but we're talking to the people that already think like us, how will you respond to that you're preaching to the choir?
What is an army besides a large choir? What is a revolutionary army without a large choir? I think that's when that is bringing together people. You call it a choir, I call it an army. I call it a revolution of people that are ready to resist and change the world. So yeah,
Yes.
I'll preach to that army all day. If it wakes them up and it reminds them of the power that their voice has, that their actions have, then fuck yeah, bring that choir on. We will sing every fucking song out there together and rejoice in it, because that's what we are. Everyone's going to tribalize. Humanity tribalizes. Well, if it's a sports team, if it's a, whatever, if it's Bucky's, the freaking truck stop here, people tribalize around that. People tribalize
Yeah.
around everything. Why don't we
Yeah.
tribalize around changing the world for the better? That's my
Yes.
choir.
Yes.
All
That's
day.
awesome. Do you want to hear my answer before you go?
Yes, I do.
Well, what we did at that time, what we said is something similar than you. We believe, because I have studied complexity science and behavioral change, and all the the science that explain how people actually change their mind. We knew that as an organization, we were not close enough to the people that we wanted to change, let's say, to actually make a big impact. They will have a lot of defense mechanism and they will reject, and it will be a war instead of actually reinforcing and strengthening the capacities of the people that can make the influence because they're already in their circles and they are in the field, let's say. So
Hmm?
our goal was, yes, we're preaching to the choir. I love the idea of we're strengthening the capacity of the army, and having the army kind of self-organize itself. We're not the leaders. We're not the owners of the
No.
revolution. We're just providing the right arguments for them. I mean, many of our audience were kids. I mean, adolescents and young people. And we said they believe in this, but they might not have the right arguments, and so in a debate they go, they stay short or something. So we're providing the right arguments and the right tools for them. It's kind of, we're arming them, the army,
Yeah.
so they can do the work. And that was what we were doing. And so I agree with you that it's
That's
not worth it to try to convince people that don't want to be convinced, or that they can't change
Well,
for
you have to
many
remember,
reasons.
they're being fed on the other side too. They're being fed for different reasons, though. The people that are feeding them to keep them in a narrative that behooves those in charge. They want them afraid of the other side. They want them angry, want them mad. They are feeding them propaganda to keep them beneath, to keep them serving and cogs in the machine. They are there to make the wealthy wealthier. But the propaganda on our side is, hey, it ain't about money. For me, it ain't about money. For us, it's about having a world where everyone can live their best life, where there's not a billionaire and a starving person in the same fucking state or country. I think it's just a different set of values and inspiration, because they're getting the same thing. They're just getting it for different ends.
Yeah.
The people that are preaching to them are trying to reach different ends. That's it.
Yes, and they have a lot of resource to keep doing that, to keep feeding their community. We have less resource, but we might be more people. And in
Right.
that, we can, if we find a way to build the spaces for the community to come and to get together, and we provide other kind of resource, like arguments, like tools, like strategies, like validation, even, that you're not the
Yeah.
only one thinking like this. We're many, and together we can do really amazing things. It's just a
Now
matter of
imagine,
getting organized.
it's wild, and this is where I find I end up on this tightrope of running a business, having product, talking about that, and then also, and this isn't, I'm not making content that's social media, that's a TV show to teach people how to revolt. I'm having to do both, and it is wild, because I know I need to talk about product if I want to have a business. If we want to sell something, be able to pay our bills, I mean, I have to do that. But I know I'd rather talk about this. So it's finding that freaking tightrope line, that right in the middle there, where we're doing both. And it's wild. It is wild. But I think that, again, comes back to my point about the fact that we can I can start out by saying, hey, as a business that promotes diversity, equity, inclusion, I've lost exactly the right people right off the rip. So it's made it so much easier to find our people, you know?
Yeah. Very good. Well, Trevor, you get the record for our longest episode so far, and that's
I'm sorry.
a compliment, man.
No,
No,
we
please
get
don't be sorry. That is you're an amazing inspiration. We're
yes.
going to be fascinated to follow your journey. We'll put all the links to all the stuff, all the places. If you're listening to this, please go buy soap. You need soap. Everybody needs soap. Buy it from Trevor.
Everyone needs soap.
Everybody needs
Incredible
soap.
soap.
Please, yes. And number two is just let's use the machinery of these platforms to defeat these fuckers by supporting what Trevor's doing. So we're going to go ahead and say goodbye to you for now. We're going to do the second show, and we're going to talk about you behind your back. So
support small businesses that are doing it the right way across the board.
Amen.
Love you guys. Thank you for having me.
Love you too, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Thank
See ya.
you. Thank you.
All right, y'all. Bye.
Wow.
Right. That was really inspiring.
Yeah.
Really fun. Yeah. It's a good thing that we changed the format this time.
Yes. Right.
He needed that space.
Yes. Right. I can imagine to not do it, but it's I'm really curious about your. I had the privileged benefit of actually getting to talk to Trevor before as in an intro call, and then you get to hear him and see his fire now, and I'm really curious about how, especially coming from your perspective, and you touched on this a little bit in your comments towards the end there, but how you what came up for you in the conversation? I guess that's what I'm asking you.
Oh, so many. I mean, I literally took 2 pages of notes of things like, oh, these are gems, like the little pearls that I want to keep. And as a reminder, to be honest, also, not just for us to share and to make comments about it, but as a reminder for myself and what is possible. I'm going to start with the generality is in a world that there is so much competition and there is so many formulas about how to go about building a business and how to go about marketing the business. Finding someone that is being successful by doing the opposite is so refreshing and
Yes.
inspiring and validating. So I was thrilled to listen to his experience. So I think that's one of the things that I think I take away from this conversation that is the most valuable. And I think that our audience is going to think the same, I'm pretty sure. But besides that, and also it's kind of like encouraging for me, saying like, yes, Virginia, you have so much to say and you don't need to stay in the narrow box of just talking about what you're offering and how you can help people. But it is important for people that are getting to know you, that are running, into you, that are just starting that relationship, to know where you come from. And so they have also the opportunity to decide if I'm for them or not, knowing that not everybody is for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the most authentic way of being, because you and I, we have discussed this before, but our business, we're so into our business and what we do. We live that. Is part of who we are and the way we want to contribute. It's not just a product. It's really our self and our life and our values and our ideas. So we need to be surrounded by the people we want to be surrounded, people that will energize us, because otherwise our life is going to be our life, not the business. Our life is going to be miserable. And he says something at the very beginning of the show. He said, when those moments where the dream becomes a nightmare, is like, I think this is the key. This is the key to prevent that. We're living our dream. This is what we are born to do. This is what we want to do with our life, to serve other people that think similar to us, how to become better at what they do and more effective. And it becomes a nightmare when we split ourselves into who we are in real life, let's say, how we think, the values that, and how we work and with whom we work.
Mm-hmm.
It can split, and that's where the contradictions and the conflict inside makes that dream of doing what we do can make it a nightmare, can be something that we dread doing.
Yeah.
So it's a good reminder for everybody out there that said, this is my dream. Well, pay attention to who you're offering this to and who you're working with, because that can ruin the dream that you're
Yeah.
experiencing right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if it's scary because you feel that you're gonna lose potential customers and
Mm-hmm.
like lose revenue. Yes and no. I mean, you're gonna lose the right people and you're gonna attract the right people as well. So
Right.
it's gonna compensate at the end. You're gonna end up with the same or better outcomes, but definitely more fulfilled and happy and and
Yeah.
authentic.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. He quoted the book of Revelation. That's the uh, be hot or cold, don't be lukewarm. That's from the book of Revelation, which
Yes.
is, you know, from a spiritual standpoint, a fever dream of some sort about, like, you know, don't be don't be weak in your clarity of who you are and what you believe in. And there's a couple of things that came up for me too. It's like, as a political nerd, I've watched over the probably last month, Gavin Newsom, who I don't necessarily like. He seems a bit smarmy as a person, but he has decided to, like, make fun of Trump by behaving like Trump. And you can see the reaction. And it's funny. It's funny too. It's like the idiots on Fox News are like, I can't believe this is so beneath him. And he's like, and then Newsom's like, I'm just copying your guy. You know, it's the same style. And what reminded me too is just like, that's why I asked the question to Trevor. Is like, did you ever lose yourself in becoming the caricature of this? And he said no, because it's just my dark thoughts coming out as branding. And there's a lesson here between Trevor and then see what's kind of Gavin Newsom's new strategy to sort of be a tormentor is that, and why I brought back up the book of Revelation is that you need to make the world react to you. You've heard me say this to many people, many clients: make the world react to you. But if you don't know who you are, you won't do that. It's that simple. If you don't know who you are, you won't do that. And sometimes you know who you are from the very beginning. Like you've always been you, and you've just grown and matured and got wiser. It took me a long time to find me. And I love that Trevor is, like, basically just doubling down on who he is and what he believes. And so the other thing is, and I mentioned this in our visit with him of the new F the Formula cohort. There's like three qualifiers there, like the three things you need in order to be in that. One is moral clarity. We can't give you that. I can't give you moral clarity. Trevor has moral clarity. Number two is the willingness to be confrontational. And there is this sort of, generally speaking, especially with straight white dudes, is sort of this that are more progressive, is kind of a tepidness, like an unwillingness, like, we're done fucking explaining who these people are, and we need to confront them. So Trevor, check. And the last one is creativity. Creativity is very dangerous to fascism. It always has been, to authoritarianism, to it's a creativity. Being an artist, being creative, it makes you incredibly dangerous to fascists, because they cannot create on their own because they're dead inside. There's nothing to create with. It's all just propaganda. And so I put all that together, and it's just this very inspiring collision of know who you are, double down, say the thing, and then when you worry about, like, what's the market going to do, double down again. Because if it comes from moral clarity and it's not about your ego, doubling down on moral clarity is basically spiritual courage. Doubling down on your ego is, sometimes you might get it right, but we're not doubling down on ego. We're doubling down. He's doubling down. We're doubling down on moral clarity.
Yeah. And there is maybe one last thing from a complexity science perspective
Mm-hmm.
and the science of movement is that he talks that a product without ideology, if you have a product without ideology, you have a product, not a business. And he also mentioned that the best way to build a business is build it like a band, meaning
Mm-hmm.
that create opportunities and conditions for the people that you want to associate with to feel ownership, to own the business, not the product necessarily,
Right.
but the business. If you don't do that with your community, then you're only selling a product and you're competing with tons of other products that
That's
are
right.
like out there
Right.
that are like yours. Like soap, there's so many in
Yeah.
the world right now
Uh-huh.
producing. But that ideology, you have not clients, you have associates, you have people that believe in the cause and that they say, this is our cause. That's not, you have a soap, but this is our cause.
Yes.
And we're supporting each other that way. That creates a community of loyal clients that are also ambassadors of the ideology.
Yes.
And it's not that you have that ideology and nobody else has it. I mean,
Right.
ideology is not an ideology if it's not shared. So other people has it, and that's what you really um, like take. I will say take advantage of,
Yeah,
but it's
but
not
yeah,
that. It's like
leveraging. Yeah.
that's
Mm-hmm.
what your leverage exactly. That's what your leverage is. That other people have the same ideology, and you're presenting a space
Yeah.
to express it, to join others, to make that ideology stronger and out there. So that makes a big difference when you're thinking, I want to grow as a business in terms of profit versus I want to become a brand that makes an impact.
Yes.
Is that you're thinking, this is not mine. And that's the other thing. When you have a mission or a cause and you hold to the ownership of that cause or that mission. You said, this is mine. You can support me in my thing. Humans, because the way we're wired, and we are, if it's not about me or for me, then I'm out. So humans, the most that will do for you is to support you in your cause, but that becomes then your problem,
Right.
your goal, not mine. But when you create the narrative that this is ours, join me, be part of the band,
Mm-hmm.
then it became my problem, my cause, and therefore I'm going to fight for it because it's about me.
Mm-hmm.
So think about when you're building your brand is how can you share the brand in a way that other people, the people you want to get support from and you want to be close to and you want to work with, feel that is also theirs.
That's
And
right.
that's what creates a strong, sustainable, self-organized community that doesn't depend
Yes.
on you as the leader telling them what to do. Because if you do, it means that they are just being nice with you. They're supporting you, but
Yeah.
that's not their problem.
Yeah.
It's yours.
And also, yes to all of that. And this idea too of like, let's call it positive tribalism. The tribal nature of humans is, that's an extension of complexity science here, right? Like the way humans interact with each other. And
Yeah.
so when it goes back to what I said about identity is if the model here isn't like start a profitable business and then figure out how to be socially conscious with it. I mean, that's fine. That's better than starting a business and, becoming more and more of an extractive asshole. But that's not what Trevor's doing. That's not what Trevor and the business Cluck Hut's doing. What they knew who they were from the beginning. They needed a vehicle of quality soap in this case, but they're a social. They're an ideology with a brand a brand and a product, not a brand with an ideology or a product with a social movement aspect of it. And I think that's what makes it so. That's what makes it somewhat like in the tools of word of mouth. And the other thing about it too is you can look at other brands like, let's say Harley Davidson is done great, an incredible brand, and they have the largest user group in the world, over 1 million people in the Hogs, the Harley Owners Group. But that's sort of an identity related to, as the former CMO of Harley Davidson once said. He said, we sell the feeling that a middle-aged white accountant can ride through a town and on one of our motorcycles and scare women and children. That's the feeling. That's an identity. But imagine again, this is so for people that hate fascism. Like, it's so brilliantly like, yeah, that's me. I want that. So why would I buy something else if I could buy something that is my identity, especially as it relates to something of, like you talked about, this moment in history. It's like, to me, the perfect model of what we teach our clients, of the art of messaging plus the science of movements, both of which start with moral clarity. Like, without that, you got nothing, really. Honestly, it's certainly not anything sustainable. You're either a martyr, a cheerleader, or a enabler.
Mhm.
You're not really there if you don't have that clarity. Anyway,
Yeah,
that was fun. It was very inspiring.
that was fun
Like for us, I know I could see you too as like,
and reaffirming.
reaffirming, and I think also of the this new project we have that we'll be more public about, what they're doing for, also in the music business, from the connection. Well, not that Trevor's in the music business now, but you know what I mean. Anyway, just very, very reaffirming, very reassuring, very, I'll use a biblical word, edifying. So,
Yeah,
okay. If you know people like Trevor, if you're listening to this, if you know people like Trevor that are these truly, like, these entrepreneurs that have shit to say and a great product and great character, please introduce us to them, either for the show or so we can help them with their brand and the way that they show up in the world. And with that, we will conclude this episode of the Massive Change Show.
yeah. Thank you.